Coming home from a business trip, I discovered something strange. My wife, Chloe, who was always forgetting things and hated carrying keys, had replaced our digital keypad lock with an old-fashioned deadbolt. Even the bathroom door was locked. Before I could even ask, she laid down a new rule. From now on, I'm the only one with a key. When you're coming home, you need to call me 30 minutes ahead of time. You can only come in after I've opened the door for you. I had to laugh when I heard that. If she wasn't hiding someone in the house, I'd eat my hat. That very day, at a Miller family dinner, I pulled out the divorce papers. Everyone thought I was just drunk and making a bad joke. My wife, Chloe, glared at me. Is it so hard to call before you come home? You promised you'd respect me forever. I looked at her coldly and scoffed. If I divorce you, I won't have to come back at all. Wouldn't that be even more respectful? Shut up, Ethan. If I hadn't gotten postpartum depression after our daughter was born, I wouldn't be so insecure. Chloe's eyes were red as she pointed a finger right at my face. This is a ridiculous reason for a divorce, and I don't accept it. I didn't even bother to look at her. I just closed my laptop bag and said flatly, "Sign it. Don't make me force you." With that, I grabbed my things to leave. The entire family stared, caught between a trembling Chloe and me, determined to walk out. They started whispering among themselves, wondering why the man who used to put Chloe above all else would suddenly demand a divorce over something so trivial. Chloe froze for a second, then reached out to grab me. Her father, Mr. Miller, started to rise from his chair in a panic. But just as I got up, Chloe's psychologist, Dr. Shaw Collins, shoved me back down into my seat. "Mr. Clark, your wife has severe postpartum depression. She feels extremely insecure," he said. "She's only locking the doors to protect herself. How can you, her husband, be so cruel? It's because you keep provoking her that her condition is getting worse." The relatives immediately sided with Dr. Collins. "Dr. Collins is right," one of them chimed in. "I think he's just in a bad mood and taking it out on his wife. For a man who married into the family, he sure has a temper. Only our Chloe would put up with him. He wouldn't have the life he has today otherwise." Chloe silenced her relatives with a single glance, then turned to me with a fragile expression, her voice softening to a placating tone. "Honey, I'm sorry. I know my illness has put you through a lot. You never used to raise your voice at me for the sake of our 10 years together. Please just calm down," she added. "Is it your mother's medical bills again? Don't be embarrassed to ask. Your mom is my family, too." Everyone watched Chloe's humble display, murmuring their approval of her while their glares at me intensified. "Ethan, you should be grateful," one said. "For a sick woman, Chloe is treating you incredibly well." Mr. Miller, leaning on his cane, spoke up quietly. "We've always been concerned about your mother. How much do you need? Just tell us. We can always find a way." I knew what he was thinking, that I was too proud to ask the Millers for more money and was using this as a desperate tactic. I calmly looked at Chloe as she reached for my hand, then smoothly pulled away. "The feeling is gone," I said flatly. "Let's just get a divorce." The room fell into a dead silence. Chloe rushed forward and threw her arms around me, her voice thick with tears. "Ethan, you don't mean that." I shoved her away and took 2 steps back. "It's the truth," I said. "Let's end this with some dignity." Chloe stood there stunned as our daughter began to wail from her stroller. Ignoring the entire room, I turned and walked out. A glass shattered on the floor right in front of me. Dr. Collins had thrown it. He rushed forward, slapped the divorce papers against my chest, and pointed a finger in my face. "Ethan, are you even a man? Chloe gave up a full scholarship to study abroad just to marry you. She loves you that much, and this is how you repay her," he yelled. "You're going to abandon her and your daughter now that she's sick. You ungrateful bastard." I watched the frantic psychologist, finding the whole display ridiculous. "Dr. Collins," I said calmly, "my wife and I are getting a divorce. This doesn't concern you, does it?" Spittle flew from his mouth as he grabbed my collar and screamed. "You're damn right she's your wife. You have no idea how good you have it. How much of the Millers' money have you burned through for that dying mother of yours? Do you have any clue? If Chloe hadn't taken pity on you, your mother would have been dead and buried years ago." I kicked him hard in the stomach, sending him stumbling backward. "Get lost. This is a family dinner, not a therapy session." Chloe immediately shoved past me and rushed to help Dr. Collins up. "Ethan, why are you attacking him? He's done nothing wrong." "I'm hitting the bastard who can't keep his mouth shut," I said, glancing at the two of them on the floor, looking far too cozy. My resolve only hardened. The relatives' shouting instantly grew louder, a chorus of insults that completely dismissed the 10 years I had dedicated to this family. They called me an ungrateful leech, claiming Chloe had suffered endlessly since marrying me. Dr. Collins patted Chloe's hand reassuringly. "It's okay, Chloe. It was my fault," he said, his voice full of false regret. "As an outsider, I shouldn't have interfered. Please don't be upset. You have to take care of your health. How could it be your fault?" The pity in Chloe's eyes was practically overflowing. She looked up at me, her voice breaking. "Honey, do you have to make a scene and embarrass everyone? You know I love you. All our family is here. Can't you just do this for me? Let's go home and talk about this properly." Her tears dripped onto Dr. Collins' shirt. I found it laughable. She just cried harder. The relatives all rushed to comfort her. With her, as the perfect victim, I was cast as the villain. "Ethan, you've taken good care of Chloe for many years," Mr. Miller said, limping over with his cane. "I've seen your capabilities and your devotion to your mother. Just tell us the truth. What's really going on? If it's something the Miller family did, we'll take full responsibility." I remained stone-faced, unwilling to accept his olive branch. "We're getting a divorce," I said flatly. "That's final." Mr. Miller was so angry he started coughing, his face flushing a deep red. Chloe scrambled up from the floor and grabbed my hand, pleading, "Honey, please don't go." When she saw I was unmoved, she screamed, "You must be having an affair." I just looked at her calmly, silent. Mr. Miller slammed his cane on the floor. "Ethan," he bellowed, "everything you own was paid for with Miller money. And don't forget, you have a sick mother to support. You can either straighten up and fly right, or you can walk out of here with nothing. The choice is yours. I'll give you 2 days to think about it." It was meant to be a threat. The faces of everyone in the room were filled with anticipation, waiting for me to back down. I yanked my arm free from Chloe's grasp and strode out the door. As soon as I got in my car, the person in the passenger seat handed me a file. "This report should be more than enough." "My first love," Melody Reed said, pointing to the results. "Thank you for everything," I replied. "Don't forget," she said with a smile. "We have a big surprise for Chloe tomorrow." After she left, I let out a long sigh and opened the video Melody had just sent me. It was security footage from my front door. Every day, just before I got home from work, a man's figure would walk out. He would even turn to the camera and provocatively dangle a different pair of lace underwear each time. 2 days was too long. I wanted to send them to hell as quickly as possible. Later that night, when I went to pay for dinner, my card was declined. For years, the Millers had strictly controlled all of my finances. They claimed it was to prevent me from making bad investments, but really they were just afraid of the man who married their daughter having any real power. Chloe was the one who deposited money into my account every month. If she was in a good mood, she'd give me a little extra. If she was in a bad mood, I'd get nothing. Ever since she changed the locks, the deposits had stopped completely. The next morning, at the crack of dawn, I went back to the house to pack my things. Before I even got to the front gate, a group of neighborhood women were pointing and whispering. "Isn't that the man who married into the Miller family?" one said. "I heard he's the one who found some rich mistress and abandoned his wife and newborn daughter, an ungrateful leech," another added. "And that poor Chloe, such a sweet girl, getting sick right after childbirth, and now she has to deal with this. It's a tragedy." Their sharp, cruel voices carried down the street. I was about to turn around and defend myself when a Porsche pulled up beside me. "Honey," Chloe's sweet voice called from inside. "I knew you'd be back. I just bought you a new tie. Let's go home, and you can try it on." I got in the back seat without a word. I saw the designer label on the tie box and tossed it out the window. Chloe opened her mouth to say something, but then closed it without a sound. "Hey, that was expensive," one of the women outside shouted. "He just threw it away." They scrambled over each other to grab it from the street. "Drive," I said, nodding toward the entrance to the underground parking garage. She suppressed her anger and followed me to the front door. When I opened it, Dr. Collins was in the living room rocking our daughter's bassinet. Chloe's face went pale, and though she tried to act calm, she stammered, "Dr. Collins, he's here for my session." He was just early. I ignored them and walked straight toward the bedroom. I had only come back for one thing: the heirloom bracelet my mother had given me for my wife. Chloe didn't deserve to have it anymore. Before I could enter the bedroom, Dr. Collins pushed the bassinet in front of me, blocking my path with a smug look on his face. "Mr. Clark, it's good you came to your senses and came home. A child this young needs her father. Come on, take a look at your daughter." He tried to pull me over to the bassinet. I shook his hand off, but he grabbed me again. I'd had enough. I shoved him away and said with disgust, "Get lost." I walked quickly into the bedroom, opened the nightstand drawer, and took out the jewelry box with the bracelet. Dr. Collins followed me in and lunged for it, but I moved it out of his reach. "A Clark family heirloom. You think you have any right to touch this?" I shoved him hard, and he stumbled backward. Suddenly, there was a loud thud and a cry followed by the baby screaming. Dr. Collins was on the floor, and the bassinet was tipped over beside him. Chloe rushed into the room, saw the scene, and immediately started screaming at me. "Ethan, if my daughter is hurt, I swear I will make you pay." She scooped up our daughter and frantically checked her for injuries. "Chloe, it's all my fault," Dr. Collins said from the floor. "I just thought the baby missed her father, but Mr. Clark didn't seem to care. He just pushed us." While I was distracted, Chloe snatched the jewelry box from my hand. With all her might, she slammed it onto the floor, her eyes blazing with fury. "For this stupid thing, you'd hurt your own daughter for this piece of junk?" My mind went blank for a second. My only thought was for the bracelet. I picked up the box and opened it. Luckily, it was well made. The bracelet was perfectly fine. Dr. Collins started yelling from behind me. "You're not even human. Your daughter could be hurt, and you're worried about a stupid bracelet. What is that thing more important to you than your own child?" Chloe set the bassinet upright. Her eyes filled with tears as she stared at me. "Ethan, you better pray our daughter is okay. Take your trash and get out of my house. And don't you ever come back after we're done in court tomorrow. I'm not just going to leave you with nothing. I'm going to destroy you now. Get out." She was like a maniac, screaming and throwing things around the room. I just calmly clutched the box and walked out of that madhouse. I hadn't even left the neighborhood when Melody called. "Check Twitter," she said. "You're trending." An avalanche of hate came flooding in. I was a scumbag, a gold digger who only married for money. They even accused me of abandoning my daughter because I secretly wanted a son. 1,000 false accusations were piled on me, accompanied by AI-generated images that made it all look real. "Scrub everything about my mother," I told Melody. "For the rest of it, file lawsuits." I hung up and let the storm rage. After lunch, I posted that I would be going live that afternoon. Chloe called me over 100 times, but I didn't answer. Finally, she showed up below Melody's apartment building with a megaphone, the sound blaring. "Ethan, everyone online hates you right now. Going live won't do you any good. If you apologize right now, I'm willing to give you another chance." I watched her from the window upstairs, my face a mask of indifference. Dr. Collins took the megaphone from her, pretending to be a peacemaker. "Chloe is willing to forgive you, Ethan. Why are you doing this to yourself? Going live will only make things worse. Just admit you were wrong, and you can still save your mother." Mr. Miller was there too, sitting under a patio umbrella. "Ethan, don't be so impulsive," he said, his voice grave. "No man divorces his wife just because she changed the locks on the doors." Their words weren't pleas, they were threats. I watched the second hand on the clock tick past the 12. The live stream began. As expected, the live chat was a waterfall of insults. Not to be outdone, Chloe started her own stream from her company's business account and sent a request to join mine. The screen split in two. "Ethan, since you refuse to see reason, don't blame me for what comes next," Chloe said. Her side of the screen began displaying faked receipts from exclusive clubs and fabricated obscene iMessage conversations. The live chat exploded. "What a pig. He's disgusting. Poor Chloe. Divorce him. I'm a lawyer, and I can tell you he's going to leave this marriage with nothing. So what do you think? Let's let the whole internet be the judge," Chloe said, smirking behind her sunglasses as she fanned herself. I just gave a cold laugh, turned up the air conditioning, and said calmly, "891. At my words, Chloe froze, her fan stopping midair. Then, she started fanning herself furiously. Don't try to quote the law at me. You don't know the first thing about it. Is it the law I'm quoting? Chloe, Melody, who was sitting next to me, couldn't help but let out a small laugh. It was time to open our little present. Everyone was waiting for me to drop a bombshell. The image on my screen changed, replaced by blurry security footage from inside our house. It showed Chloe sneaking in the front door, looking around cautiously, and then bolting it from the inside. She slowly pulled dozens of pairs of lace underwear out of her bag. She carefully held one up, sprayed it with perfume, and then rubbed it against her inner thigh. Then she propped her phone up on the sofa and started recording. With each pair she put on, she would touch herself for a while, moaning, "Honey," in a slurred, lustful voice. The live chat went wild. Can you even show this stuff live? So that's what 891 meant. Pairs of underwear. So what? She's still calling out for her husband. This isn't a big deal. The tide of public opinion started to turn back in her favor. Chloe slumped in her chair, her lips trembling, unable to look at her father. Dr. Collins leaped to his feet. Ethan, what are you trying to accomplish by showing this? You know she has depression. You're the one who's never home. Is it a crime for her to find a way to cope on her own? I've never met such a petty, vindictive man. The comments erupted with a fresh wave of outrage against me. He's right. It's his fault for neglecting her. She's depressed. Of course, she's going to act out. This is nothing. This is disgusting. He's posting her private videos just for attention. This guy is human garbage. Dr. Collins looked triumphant. He gestured to comfort Chloe while simultaneously starting a cash giveaway on the stream to attract more viewers. An inadequate husband like you drove her to this. If you had treated her better, she never would have done these things. Are you some kind of pervert secretly recording your wife? Or are you just trying to destroy her reputation so you can get your hands on the family's money in the divorce? I was speechless. They were pinning everything on me, painting Chloe as a complete innocent. You'd think I was the monster here. Chloe, for her part, was playing the role perfectly, slumped in her chair and sobbing as if she were about to pass out. Seeing his daughter's state, Mr. Miller's hands began to shake with rage. He pointed a trembling finger at my image on the screen. I actually thought you had a legitimate reason for this. I never imagined you could be so malicious, so cruel. I will see to it that you leave this marriage with nothing, and you will pay for every bit of damage you've done to my daughter's reputation. Chloe's best friend couldn't take it anymore. She stormed in front of their camera and glared at me. Ethan, when your mother was sick and you couldn't afford her treatments, Chloe paid for everything. If you have a shred of decency, you'll take this video down right now. How are Chloe and your daughter supposed to live after this? What happens when your daughter starts school? And people have seen this. You're destroying their lives, you bastard. The number of viewers on the stream doubled. Some were even threatening to find me in person. The comments were a stream of curses against me and my entire family line. 9 of the top 10 trending topics on Twitter were about me, Ethan Clark, the ungrateful husband who is slandering his sick wife. Do any of you people have a brain? Melody muttered, rolling her eyes at the live chat as she clicked the mouse. I leaned into the microphone and said calmly, "Please direct your attention to the second video. Presents are always more fun when you open them one at a time." The screen flickered. A figure dressed head to toe in a black latex suit swaggered out from our master bedroom and into the living room. He walked right over to the water cooler, poured himself a glass, and chugged it down. He moved with a casual familiarity as if he owned the place. After putting the cup down, the man slowly strolled over until he was directly in front of the security camera by the door. He reached into a pocket, fumbled for a moment, and pulled out a crumpled pair of burgundy lace underwear. Holding the flimsy fabric between his fingers, he dangled it right in front of the camera lens. The live chat froze for a second, then erupted. What the hell? Who is that? A flood of question marks filled the screen, nearly obscuring Chloe's face. Dr. Collins gasped, his face turning white as a sheet as his body went rigid. After a beat of silence, Chloe lunged toward her camera. "Honey, there was a burglar. That's why all my underwear went missing. He must have stolen it. Is this why you want a divorce? Did he threaten you?" Don't be scared. It's over now. We can work this out, she pleaded, her voice dripping with false humility. The live chat was buzzing with theories. Wait, is this just some weird role-play thing they do? Hold on, is that guy in the suit actually Ethan? I watched their guesses scroll by and smirked. Chloe looked terrified that I was about to deny it, so she quickly jumped in. Honey, let's not air our private hobbies in front of everyone. Okay, stop messing around. We could talk about this at home after the stream. Beads of sweat were rolling down her temples, smudging her perfect makeup. She was desperately trying to hide her panic. I remained silent and simply nodded at Melody to play the next clip. The video showed the man in the latex suit putting a collar and leash around Chloe's neck while groping her. Chloe's face was flushed with excitement, not shame. She was clearly enjoying every second of it. What do you call me when you're wearing my collar? The man's voice asked. She purred, honey. The chain was yanked sharply, and she gasped. Ah, master. The live chat went into overdrive. Whoa, they're into that. That's intense. You know, the guy in that suit, he doesn't really have Ethan's build. Yeah, he looks smaller, not as broad. Wait, does this mean he was actually cheated on? Clip after clip played. The two of them were completely lost in their own world. It was filthy, obscene, and far beyond what most people would consider normal. The viewers were hooked, and the tone of the comments began to shift. People were starting to feel sorry for me. What is? Chloe's best friend was speechless. She never would have imagined her supposedly conservative friend doing things like this. Mr. Miller was so furious, he repeatedly slammed his cane on the floor, glaring at his daughter. You shameless girl. Who taught you to behave like this? Faced with his fury, Chloe collapsed to the floor like a puppet with its strings cut, her vacant eyes staring at me through the camera. Chloe didn't say a word as she watched the comments turn in my favor. Dr. Collins frantically scrolled through his phone, then held it up to the camera. It is Ethan, he shouted. The screen showed a photo of me holding that same latex suit over the sink as if I were washing it. It was clearly a picture Chloe had taken. I remember that day. I came home and saw the latex suit next to the washing machine. When I asked Chloe about it, she said it was a cosplay outfit for her friend's comic convention. She claimed she'd accidentally spilled something on it and forgot to wash it. I just smiled and said, I'll take care of it. Now, I realized it was all a deliberate setup. They wanted me, the clueless husband, to personally wash the filth from their little games off that suit. Ethan, a real man, doesn't blame his wife for his own problems, Mr. Miller shouted, snatching the phone to get a better look. Dr. Collins seized the moment. As a medical professional, I can attest that Ms. Miller suffers from severe postpartum depression, change in the locks, her extreme need for security. Even these unconventional sexual requests are all classic symptoms of a patient seeking control in her life. Mr. Clark, instead of being supportive, has used her illness as a pretext for divorce and publicly shamed her. It's a cruel and irresponsible act of secondary abuse. A wave of understanding passed through the room, with people nodding in agreement. Chloe's friend even slapped her own face and apologized profusely to Chloe for ever doubting her. The live chat flipped again. Wow, so Ethan is the real villain here. He probably faked the whole thing to ruin her reputation and get more money in the divorce, but it backfired. A few dissenting voices remained. I don't know. I have a gut feeling that's not Ethan in the suit. Me too. That build looks familiar, but not like him. Seeing the comments turn her way, Chloe squeezed out a few tears and began her performance. Honey, after all these years together, I can't believe you'd be so cruel. Not only did you hurt our daughter, but now you're trying to paint me as some kind of monster. What have I ever done to you to deserve this? The comments are horrified. Wait, he hurt his own daughter? He's a monster attacking his own child. That's just sick. Dr. Collins saw the comments, and a small triumphant smile played on his lips. Well, since we've established that it was you in the suit, there's no need to continue this broadcast, is there? This is a private family matter. I just shook my head, tapping my fingers lightly on the desk. I wouldn't have started the stream if I wasn't fully prepared. A family matter? I asked, what's an outsider like you doing in the middle of our family matter? The video on my screen changed. It showed the scene from the day before, right after I pushed Dr. Collins. He stumbled back, then deliberately fell to the floor, tipping over the bassinet as he went down. Then he reached in and pinched our daughter's arm hard. A second later, she started screaming. I zoomed in on the footage of him pinching her and played it on a loop. Dr. Collins froze, completely stunned. Mr. Miller and Chloe both whipped their heads around to stare at him in shock. The live chat reversed course instantly. Wow, what a terrible actor. Chloe immediately blamed Ethan. She was in on it. This was a total setup. Chloe's friend rushed at Dr. Collins, grabbing him by the collar. What did you do? Why would you hurt my goddaughter? Mr. Miller shouted, Collins, you hurt my granddaughter, and tried to frame Ethan for it. He raised his cane as if to strike the man, but then hesitated. He couldn't bring himself to believe that the man who had so staunchly defended his daughter could be capable of such a thing. I just wanted to get Ethan to pay attention to his daughter, Collins stammered. He wouldn't even look at her. I thought if he believed she was hurt, he would finally enough. Mr. Miller cut him off, refusing to hear any more of his lies. Chloe stepped in front of Dr. Collins, shielding him. I know he meant well. His methods were extreme, but he was only trying to get us to reconcile. Incredibly, some people in the chat seemed to buy it, and the vitriol against Dr. Collins subsided. Instead, they turned on me again, calling me a cold-hearted father who didn't care about his own child. Melody calmly leaned into the frame. Everyone, please be patient for just a few more minutes. The whole truth is about to come out. Chloe tried to press her advantage. Ethan, is this what this is all about? You want to divorce me for her? She sneered, pointing at Melody. Let me tell you something. But before she could finish, her voice was drowned out by a lustful moan from my speakers. A new video appeared on my screen. The main part of it was pixelated. The pixelated figure was clearly Chloe, but in a small window in the corner, the face of the man she was with slowly came into focus. The entire room, both on my end and hers, fell silent. Even Dr. Collins stood frozen, staring in disbelief at the screen of his own phone, now in Chloe's hand, flickering with the telltale signs of being hacked. The live chat exploded. Holy crap, it's him. It's Dr. Collins. So, he framed himself. This is insane. I gotta get my friends to see this. Is this how psychologists treat their patients now? The viewer count skyrocketed as people shared the link, eager to witness the drama. This time, Mr. Miller's cane came down hard, striking Dr. Collins and sending him to his knees with a thud. Chloe was gasping for air and reached for her father, but he slapped her so hard across the face that she stumbled and fell against her friend. The friend shoved her off in disgust, brushing her clothes as if she'd been contaminated. Get away from me, she hissed. You're disgusting, Chloe. How could our family have produced such a thing? Mr. Miller raged. Have you forgotten our family's values? Adultery is the one thing we do not tolerate. Was your sweet, conservative act all a lie? He broke into a fit of coughing, so violent he looked like he might collapse. Chloe opened her mouth to argue, but didn't dare. She just glared at my image on the screen, her eyes red with fury. As I calmly took a sip of coffee, the Miller family security guards started whispering amongst themselves, shocked that the prim and proper young lady of the house was capable of such behavior. Dr. Collins scrambled to his feet, his face a blotchy, furious red. It's a fake. It's AI. This is slander, a complete and utter fabrication. His voice trembled as he pointed a shaking finger at Melody. Ethan, you'd stoop to this level just to get a divorce? Don't think I don't know who she is. The woman next to you is a well-known hacker. Faking a video like this would be child's play for her. Melody simply played another video, raising an eyebrow. Oh, really? Then perhaps you can explain this. The new footage showed Dr. Collins shirtless in Chloe's living room. The timestamp read 3:30 a.m. that very morning. Dr. Collins quickly tried to explain, forcing a calm he didn't feel. Chloe had a severe panic attack. I got an emergency call and rushed over. I spilled something on my shirt, so I had to take it off. He nodded as if his story was perfectly plausible. As soon as the words left his mouth, the video zoomed in on his pocket where the corner of a lace garment was visible. The underwear, he stammered. Chloe tore it by accident during her panic attack. I was just picking it up to throw it away. Waving it at the camera was an unconscious gesture. His excuses were becoming more and more absurd, and no one was buying it. Melody and I just looked at each other and laughed. Yes, that's exactly what happened, Chloe shrieked, clinging to the excuse like a drowning woman to a raft. I was having an attack. Dr. Collins was saving me. Ethan, you have such a sick and twisted mind. You're the one with the problem. The two of them started to look smug, certain they'd found the perfect defense. I just looked at Melody, gave a slight nod, and then turned back to the camera. We'll see you in court tomorrow, I said, and ended the stream. The next day, the courthouse was a circus before the proceedings even began. It was packed with curious onlookers, people who had watched the entire live stream and driven for hours to be there. And of course, a swarm of reporters hungry for an exclusive. Once the hearing began, Chloe's lawyer presented a mountain of fabricated evidence against me, demanding I be left with nothing in the divorce. Melody, acting as my counsel, let them present their case without interruption. Then when they were finished, she stood to address the defendant and her counsel. She began, her voice ringing through the courtroom. That was a very compelling performance. Unfortunately for you, it's full of holes. First, let's address the claim of postpartum depression. Melody produced a report stamped by the American Psychiatric Association. This is a joint psychological evaluation of Ms. Miller conducted by 3 of the nation's leading psychiatrists. Their conclusion is that her behavior is completely inconsistent with a diagnosis of severe depression. In fact, they believe there is a high probability that her symptoms were either deliberately exaggerated or entirely fabricated. On the large courtroom screen, a slideshow of photos and videos of Chloe, all taken during the period of her supposed depression, began to play. There she was, smiling brightly on a shopping spree at Neiman Marcus. There she was confidently leading a board meeting at her company. And there she was again, laughing with friends at a cafe, her makeup perfect. I asked the court, Melody continued, how can a patient supposedly suffering from debilitating depression, one who claims to be so insecure she cannot function, be seen here managing a company, shopping, and socializing? Why is it that her profound lack of security only seems to apply to her husband? And why was Dr. Collins, her emergency physician, able to come and go from her home at all hours, even shirtless, without setting off any of these alleged security concerns? The color drained from Chloe and Dr. Collins's faces. Secondly, Melody said, our technical team has completed a full biometric and gait analysis. On the screen, the footage of the man in the latex suit appeared side by side with footage of Dr. Collins. Key points of comparison were highlighted in red and shown in slow motion. The way he holds a glass, the specific angle of his shoulders, his stride, they're a near-perfect match. Dr. Collins, however, seemed unfazed. He leaned back and crossed his legs. That's impossible. I have a solid alibi for every one of those times. I was at my clinic seeing patients. His lawyer presented security footage from his office, showing him at his desk. Several of his patients even provided testimony confirming they had appointments with him on those dates. A murmur went through the gallery. This is bizarre. Could we have been wrong about Dr. Collins? The bailiff called for order, asking everyone to remain quiet and wait for the expert testimony. During a brief recess, Dr. Collins sauntered over to me with a smirk. Ethan, you don't really think you're going to win this, do you? I'd advise you to apologize now. It would be a shame if you ended up facing perjury charges on top of everything else. Chloe came over and put her hand on my arm. Ethan, stop this. If you admit you were wrong right now, I might still let you see our daughter sometimes. I just laughed and pulled my arm away, unimpressed by their little act. Let's just wait for the verdict, shall we? When the forensic expert's analysis came back, the courtroom was stunned. Dr. Collins's alibi evidence had been digitally manipulated. Chloe, you said this would be enough, Dr. Collins blurted out in a panic. Why didn't it work? Chloe swayed on her feet, then took a deep breath, her expression shifting into one of a terrified, newly enlightened victim. Tears streamed down her face as she pointed a trembling finger at Dr. Collins. Your Honor, it was him. He made me do it all. He's not a real doctor. He's been controlling me with drugs and manipulation, twisting my mind. He drugged me and then filmed those videos. He forced me to do those things with him, she sobbed. He threatened me, made me help him forge evidence to frame my own husband. He never cared about me. He just wanted to destroy me and my family. Dr. Collins stared at her, dumbfounded, as if he'd never seen her before. In an instant, everything he'd worked for was being thrown away as she cast him as the villain. Chloe, you poisonous snake. You're lying. It was you. You were the one who wanted the excitement. You were the one who was obsessed with, shut up, she screamed. Your Honor, I have proof. I have records of the drugs he gave me. I have recordings of him threatening me. She frantically pulled a USB drive from her purse. This is all the evidence of his crimes. I'm exposing him. He needs to pay for what he's done. Dr. Collins finally snapped. You witch. You begged me to get you those prescriptions. You said you wanted revenge for Ethan being so cold to you. Recordings? What did you record, Chloe? The part where we planned how to make sure Ethan got nothing in the divorce? Or the part where you talked about how to please your precious Walter Hayes? Mr. Miller shot to his feet. Walter Hayes? Who is Walter Hayes? Chloe? What is he talking about? As a seasoned businessman, Mr. Miller could smell a threat far more dangerous than a simple affair. Are you insane? What are you talking about? Chloe hissed at Collins, trying to silence him with a glare. I'm not the one who's crazy. You are, Collins screamed, pointing a shaking finger at Chloe. Your Honor, she's lying. She wasn't just cheating with me. The one she really loves is a man named Walter Hayes. Everything we did, all those videos we filmed, it was all for him to satisfy his twisted fantasies. He liked to watch. He was on video calls with us the whole time. And Chloe, are you going to deny that you've been transferring millions of dollars out of your family's accounts? Following Walter's advice about some overseas investment, which was really just a front for you to launder the money so you could run away with him, the courtroom exploded into chaos. This had gone from a messy divorce to a massive financial conspiracy. Chloe's lips trembled, but no words came out. She was paralyzed by the fear of exposure. Just then, Melody rose calmly, her voice cutting through the din. Your Honor, regarding this, Mr. Walter Hayes, I'm pleased to inform the court that he was apprehended by police at the airport this morning. At our request, the arresting officers are on standby to provide a statement via video link. The judge immediately granted the request. The large screen flickered to life, showing a live feed. Two police officers stood on either side of a well-dressed but haggard-looking man. One of the officers addressed the court. Your Honor, the suspect, Walter Hayes, is now in custody. Under questioning, the officer continued. Mr. Hayes has made a full confession. He is not a businessman. He met Ms. Miller online and exploited her psychological vulnerabilities, manipulating her into recording sexually explicit videos for his gratification. His primary goal was to drive a wedge between Ms. Miller and her husband, Mr. Clark, in order to precipitate a divorce. The plan was for Ms. Miller to secure a large settlement, after which the two would conspire to defraud the Miller family of its remaining assets. Dr. Collins was an unwitting pawn, manipulated by Ms. Miller at Hayes' direction. Ms. Miller was a knowing and active participant in Mr. Hayes' scheme. The evidence was irrefutable. The entire conspiracy was laid bare. Everyone in the courtroom, including the judge, was stunned into silence. Only Melody and I remained calm. Mr. Miller stared, transfixed at the screen. He saw the chat logs, saw his own daughter fawning over this con man, saw them plotting to steal his family's fortune. He saw the swindler's true pathetic face. His chest began to heave, and he suddenly clutched at his heart. His eyes filled with the agony of betrayal and the terrifying realization of how close he had come to losing everything. A strangled gasp escaped his lips, and he coughed, spraying a fine mist of blood onto Chloe's white blouse. His cane clattered to the floor as he fell backward, unconscious. "Dad!" Chloe screamed. The family members around him panicked. "Medic! Somebody call a doctor!" The courtroom erupted into chaos. Dr. Collins just stood there, staring blankly at the scene. Chloe was completely broken, her father unconscious on the floor, and me, the victor. A wild, manic laugh suddenly erupted from him. "Haha, it's karma. It's all karma, Chloe. All your brilliant schemes, and you ended up with a con artist lower than a street hustler. You deserve it. Ha! He lunged at Chloe, but the bailiffs quickly intercepted and restrained him. The judge's face was grim as he slammed his gavel. Order. Get Mr. Miller medical attention. Now take the defendants, Chloe Miller and Sean Collins, into custody immediately. The chaos subsided, leaving only a quiet echo in the now empty courtroom. Melody quietly gathered her files and came to stand beside me, not saying a word, just keeping me company. I sat there for a long time before finally letting out a deep breath and heading for the parking garage. As I walked, my phone buzzed with a new message. It was from the hospital. Ethan, your mother is awake. I grabbed Melody and pulled her into a hug. She was surprised for a second. Then she let out a whoop of joy. My mom's awake. I yelled, laughing. Melody, she's awake. Melody calmed me down and opened her car door. She pulled out a bottle of water, opened it, and handed it to me. I took it but didn't drink, my eyes glued to the message on my phone, reading it over and over. My heart was pounding, and I couldn't seem to calm down. She's going to be okay, Melody said softly, her voice full of comfort. I finally looked up in the direction of the hospital. I tilted my head back and took a long drink of water. Let's go, I said, my voice filled with a hope I hadn't felt in years. I turned to her and smiled.